also said that if we had a right to strike Afghanistan, then Cuba has every right to bomb New York City and Houston, because America clearly had a 50-year terrorist campaign against Cuba, which is total bullshit. And even if we did, the Cubans deserved it because they're fucking communists.
It's called universality, Gabe, a basic and sound moral principle that we should hold ourselves to the same standards we hold others. As a Christian, I think you might appreciate this. Your favorite philosopher in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 3 through 5, makes this quite clear. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but you do not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your neighbor, let me take the speck out of your eye, while the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. You see, you seem to think that one single attack from 19 men warrants the wholesale destruction and slaughter of Afghanistan. If that's true, then by all means, the people of Cuba, Nicaragua, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, El Salvador, Panama, well, you can just run through the list of nations that have much larger grievances, real grievances against our terror campaigns. We don't call it terror, of course. We're much too sophisticated for that. We call it low-intensity warfare that focuses on soft targets. And we train these criminals right here at the School of the Americas. We train them in methods of torture, and sabotage, and everything that you would consider terrorism. Do you know what a soft target is, Gabe? Soft targets are people, usually leftist leaders, who are working to help the poor and oppressed, like labor leaders, liberation theology priests and nuns, and organizers of one stripe or another. People working to make things better. Hospitals, schools, people in places that can't fight back. That's terror. That's real terror. If you want to know what I think we should, how I think we should have responded, you can look at the case of Nicaragua. The people of Nicaragua had the audacity to overthrow their brutal dictator Somoza, and they started implementing all kinds of social reforms. The U.S. responded, as usual, with a brutal campaign of terror, bombing hospitals, schools, mining the harbor, and funding the counter-revolutionary group, the Contras, with money they got from selling weapons to Iran. Good, clean stuff, huh? How did Nicaragua respond? Did they begin attacking Washington? Did they send terror squads into Texas? No. They went to the UN, the International Court of Justice, and made their case. The U.S. was sanctioned to end its terrorist campaign and pay for the damage we had caused. Of course, nobody tells us what to do. The U.S. ignored the court's ruling, escalated the terrorist campaign, and vetoed a resolution calling for all nations to refrain from terrorism. The U.S. had diplomatic options that it simply chose to avoid.
So, my thing to you is, if you hate this country, how about you leave it? And if you love communism, how about you go to Cuba, alright? And borders are not imaginary. They are real things. So, go have your shrooms, go have your hippie love, go have sex with black people, because I know you love black people and hate white people. So, the leftists, you, Buddhism, are very ignorant and very uneducated. You have no idea what you're talking about, so how about you stop making videos and leave everybody alone? Thank you very much. Bye.
Whoever said I hated this country? It's such an asinine assumption that by criticizing things that we find wrong, somehow we must hate it. We must hate the country. It's analogous to your roof's leaking, and you say, well, the roof's leaking, we're going to have to fix it. You're pointing out something's wrong with the house, you're going to have to fix it. And someone turns to you and says, hey, if you don't like this house, fucking leave. What kind of nonsense is that? You see something wrong, you point it out, and you fix it. That's all I'm doing. That's all any of us on the left are doing, is that there are things that are fundamentally wrong with this country. And one, we have to get people to understand it, point it out. What is the cause for this problem? What can we do to fix it? And you can't fix these things by running away from them. The whole love it or leave it is just it's complete nonsense. Any dictatorship Any totalitarian institution would love if dissenters would just leave. Wouldn't they love that? Wouldn't the Soviet Union have just loved if every dissenter, had just packed up and left? Wouldn't that have been nice? Wouldn't Hitler have loved it if every dissenting person in the country had just packed up and left? Make it much easier for them to control the population, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be nice for George Bush if every one of us on the left, every one of us just packed up and left and moved to Canada? Wouldn't that be nice? We're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. This is my country, and I'm going to do what I can to right the wrongs and fix what needs to be fixed. So, sorry. As far as loving communism, I don't know where you get this. I'm not an avowed communist. I have a natural affinity for communism. I mean, if you understand communism and anarchism, the end result, what we foresee or what we hope will become is very similar. How we actually get there, we differ and we disagree on. We have our differences, but I count them as allies. You'll notice on my channel, many of my communist friends here on YouTube stop by and refer to me as comrade, and that's fine. They understand I'm not a communist. I understand they're not anarchists. But we understand we have common ground, and we're fighting a common enemy. So as far as going to Cuba, if I was born a Cuban, I'd stay there and I'd right whatever wrongs I found there. This is my country. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to continue to fight the good fight. Thanks.